Hi, I'm Gwen, and welcome to my BookTube channel, Reading Closely. This is the BookTube Newbie Tag. I was tagged by Anne at Book Your Imagination, and I learned about Anne's channel from Peter at Peter Likes Books. So thank you to Anne and Peter, and thanks also to Brenda C. for creating this tag. This is the original BookTube Newbie Tag, which consists of 7 questions. So the first question is, why did you start this channel? Well, I discovered BookTube I think it was about 18 months ago, and it was a time when I had been getting in the habit of going online in the morning and just kind of browsing through the news. And the news channels, the news accounts at the time were so divisive and negative that it was getting to be a kind of depressing way to wake up. So somehow or another I stumbled into one of the BookTube channels. I think it was Leslie. I'll link her channel below as well. And just discovered from there a whole community of booktubers and really liked the way that community interacted and the way that it consists of lots of different people from all over the world with their different tastes who share their ideas with each other and in a very friendly, open way. And I just thought it was very nice. So I wanted to take part in it. As for how I moved from consuming to creating content, I think it was mainly because I've missed the literary studies classes that I used to take for much of my life. I was a student at the college level and later in graduate school, and then I taught for a period of time also. And I've since moved on to a different profession that doesn't involve so much talking about the books that I read, but I continue to read, and I miss that aspect of reading, the social aspect. The second question is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? I guess the uniqueness of any BookTube channel comes down to the individual tastes of the booktuber. My tastes run in several different directions. For the most part, I like fiction. I also read some biography and narrative history. I like Victorian literature, and I've started a series on Victorian literature, beginning with The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I also like American literature, and this year, 2018, I plan to begin a series that I'm calling Seeking the Great American Novel. This term, the Great American Novel, was first used 150 years ago, and I thought it would be interesting in 2018 to use BookTube as a venue for exploring the whole idea. In terms of genres, I guess the main genre that I lean towards is suspense, mostly what you would call literary suspense. So I'm going to be starting another series this year called Suspense in Fiction and Film, where I'll be looking at works of suspense beginning with the early years of the 20th century and continuing on up to the present, and also looking at how most of those stories have been transformed into movies. Question 3 is, what are you most excited to do on this new channel? I guess what I'm most excited about is just really delving in a little more deeply into the books that I like to read and sharing what I learn and what I observe about the texts. Question 4, why do you love reading? I think this is a really interesting question because it gets at something fundamental about human beings. We have these capacities. We have intellect and emotion and physical senses, and reading lets us extend these capacities into like another dimension. So when we're reading and we're immersing ourselves in this alternative universe created by a writer, it's a chance to experience more. Question 5, what book or series got you into reading? I don't think there was any specific book or series that first made me a reader. I started reading, I guess, around the usual age, 5 or 6, and But I do remember that somewhere around first or second grade, I discovered the books by Roald Dahl. So I think the first one that was read to me in school was probably Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And later came Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, James and the Giant Peach, Danny, the Champion of the World. I still like all these books, and I guess it's because of Dahl's incredible ability as a storyteller, his ability to imagine different worlds and take us into them. And he has a great sense of humor too. Question 6 is, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I have a lot of booktuber favorites all over the world, and I know a lot about their reading because that's, of course, what they talk about. So I guess most of my questions would be about other aspects of their lives, where they go to school or went to school, what they do for a living, where they've been, what they've seen, what it's like to live where they live. I would also like to ask them for tips about how they do their BookTube channels. And that gets to the next question, which is what challenges will be hardest to overcome in launching this BookTube channel? I think it's really difficult to maintain focus when you don't have an actual interlocutor in the room with you and you're just looking at a camera lens. But I think the hardest thing will be limiting my subject matter and choosing a realistic number of topics to talk about. I have a lot of notes about all kinds of books that I'd like to discuss, and just don't have the time to do as many as I'd like. So that's it. If any of this that I've been talking about sounds interesting, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and I hope to be back in a couple of weeks with the first video in my series, Seeking the Great American Novel.